Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
James the Wildcard.
How's it going?
Not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright. I can't really complain, I guess.
That's good.
We got a Codex for the First Legion coming out. I got my Eldar Codex with all my dice, and my Bone Singers just came in.
Nice.
And it's weird. I ordered the Bone Singers and one of the Farseers.
Right.
The Farseer, which was only in metal, he never went to fine cast or anything like that, came in fine cast, but the Bone Singers are metal.
Time paradox. Yeah, it is kind of odd.
And another thing that's super odd is the new Blood Angel dice that are coming out are twice the price of the Eldar dice, and they're the same quality, if not worse, because the pips are flush with the surface, which I do not like.
Right. But it's they're cool looking. If you're a Blood Angel player, I'm sure you'll probably want some of those.
It's just weird. The last few, the Eldar dice were $11.50. The Death Guard dice were like $15, and these dice are pretty much made out of the same material and all that. So I'm like, what justifies them being $30? Because the color the three different colors in the dice set, I don't think justify it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. They're definitely pricey dice. Yes. But I don't really know why. Short of
the only thing I could think of is the other dice sold really well, so they're trying to see how much they can charge.
I guess either that was a snafu on their pricing and it gets corrected when it gets released and people get a refund of the price that they spent, or it stays. They're not even that big of dice where I could see them being, these are Mega Block dice, so they cost more. So yeah, it's not
even looking at the pictures, they're made out of the same material as the Eldar dice, it looks like judging from the pictures, and they don't usually when GW has something they really are proud of, they oversell, it's made from the bones of Sanguinius, and it comes from a special type of whale that only comes around 300 years, they really sell you on why these dice are this awesome, and this time they're like, here's some dice, they're colored, there's 3 different color sets, have fun.
Yeah. Right.
And they give you the same number, it's only 20 dice. Which, well, I can't say only 20 dice, unless you're an Orc or Nid player, that's almost about all the dice you'll need.
Yeah, 20 dice is a good amount of dice for a lot of things. Heck, when I did Deathwing, all I needed was 10 dice.
Yep. I was going to buy more Dire Avenger dice, because I bought a set, and I'm like, well, wait, there's 20 in here, and the most shots I ever get out of one squad of Dire Avengers is 20, so yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I do like, and I'm sure they said it in other stuff, I just didn't really read the product description. I do like to at least say, hey, the Skull's a 1, the Blood Angel's Icon's a 6.
Yeah.
It's good, at least you're telling us, because sometimes it's so what is this?
Nice to clarify.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's kind of recent events. Yep. I got a BattleTech recent event real quick to share.
Oh my.
Yeah, we don't often get news in BattleTech that is, outside of it's still around and still doing its thing, and people, and I don't mean that in a mocking way, because they still make books and they still put out people. You can't make that stuff and not make a profit off of it to continue. So it's staying alive for sure. Yeah. But wouldn't you know it, Harmony Gold's trying to strike again.
Harmony Gold is trying to strike them down again?
Yeah, for those that don't know, I'm not going to go into the logistics of the exact stuff that's happened, because we'd be here forever. Because BattleTech started off as, I believe, Battle Droids in 1984. In 1985, it became BattleTech. For 4 years, Harmony Gold and BattleTech existed in harmony. Ever since then, for the most part, it's been, if you look at the entire time, over 2 decades of Harmony Gold doing cease and desist to anybody that does anything BattleTech. And it's really weird because Harmony Gold doesn't do anything with the IP aside from, hey, we can sell it in the United States.
They're actually apparently working on a live-action film.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
When I went to Anime Boston, they had the scriptwriter and they were doing a whole panel about the movie.
Right. Well, their Harmony Gold actually though is kind of potentially in the hot seat this time. It's not Piranha or Harebrained Studios, who Harebrained's making these turn-based strategy game for the PC, and Piranha Games was MechWarrior Online, and the new MechWarrior game to come, single-player game, MechWarrior 5 and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're actually finally making MechWarrior 5?
Yeah, it's coming. It's not the same one that became MechWarrior Online. It's now something different, but it's cool. We're all pumped about it as BattleTech fans. And basically, Harmony Gold likes to say cease and desist because we are Mecha when they're not. In fact, what they have rights to is a murky water situation.
Yes.
We don't really need to go too deep into it, aside from the fact that
the short is they got America to say they own Robotech, but Japan, who owns Robotech, says they don't, and they're stuck in a murky water where it's left where there's no clear defined yes or no, so they act like they own it.
Yeah, and the thing is, they act like they own even more than they actually do have rights to.
The best part is they once came out and said Japan actually liked our dub of the show better than the original script. And yet there's no one can find a quote from the guy they claim that said it, saying it. Right.
Well, it's just weird because, like, it's the weirdest case of being able to act beyond your borders / act beyond your power, if you will.
Yeah.
That I've ever seen, because in all rights and accounts, they should have been squashed down. But basically, Harmony Gold has been lawsuit crazy on BattleTech for the past 10 years. We're trying to cease and desist everything, to the point that they kind of backed themselves into a corner with their latest stint, where what they're trying to claim would disprove all their other claims and basically make Piranha Games and Harebrained Studios be left alone. If it goes through on their side, yeah, it's technical jargon, and it's.
But what do they claim?
It's again to the rights to certain mechs, and it's typical. So, it's that thing, but it's murky. I'm not going to get into it here because we'd be here all day, because it's all lawyer jargon speak. So of course, one sentence becomes a paragraph, but basically they're in a corner, and it's not like they are
Now, when you say corner, is it one of those, like, for just a brief history on people's ears, usually they go, well, if you black out the robot and just draw a silhouette, it looks exactly like a silhouette of a robot that shows up in our show, and since we created it, it's ours? Is it one of those jargons where they go, that's stealing the profile of our mech, that's stealing our stuff, and they can't prove that they made the mech?
Well, kinda, it's... I read it and I listened to a video on it, and I'm still confused because lawyer speak is not English, even though it's in English. But basically, it's what Harmony Gold is trying to prove is theirs, proves it isn't theirs, and in doing so would also disprove things against the hidden or the unseen. The unseen are a series of mechs that basically the original creators, and ever since then, those who have owned the rights to do BattleTech stuff, have kept unseen. In fact, the Battlemaster, the Marauder, and the Warhammer are 3 examples of this, and the Archer.
Yep. Wasn't the Warhammer the one that got BattleTech MechWarrior 5 canned?
Yeah, because it was the main mech in the trailer that was fighting the other mechs.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it doesn't... Do they have a same profile? Well, put a box on legs with gun barrels for hands, and you're going to have the same profile no matter what you do.
To be perfectly honest, though, I saw the Warhammer, and I sat there going, what ship are they claiming this looks like? Because it doesn't look like Macross Fortress.
This is what... Okay, in Robotech, there are the Veritech fighters, which can transform.
Yes.
There's the Super Defense Fortress 1.
Yes, that's the Macross in the Japanese.
Yeah, that's the Macross. Right? Yeah. And then there are things called, Destroys, which are, support mechs that really are outclassed by Veritechs. They're in the background constantly getting blown up. It has a similar look to one of those.
Okay.
And so the Archer has a look to one of those as well. The thing is... The Archer is a mech that has a bunch of missiles in his torso. You only can make that look like so many different ways. Same thing with gun barrels for arms. You can only make that look so many different ways.
Honestly, if you need to blacken out the whole mech in order for it to look similar to yours, then obviously it doesn't.
Like, to put it into perspective, if you take a Ford Fusion, a Jaguar, a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, like sedan car, a Toyota Corolla, and you black it out, they're going to have the same profile.
Yeah.
But, like, here's the deal. The original creators of Battletech straight out said, we have been inspired by other mechas, such as Robotech, such as Gundam, for some of our designs. They were inspired. They are not direct copies. There's only two unseen that I can go, okay, you have a case here, kind of, because it looked like the Veritex when in humanoid mode.
Yeah.
But even still, it's different enough in function, if not so much form, that it's not like they're still lumbering mechs and not agile Veritech fighters. So, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, some of those unseen might be able to come back if the court case goes away for Piranha Games and Harebrained Studios, which is actually looking like for once it's in their favor, because Harmony Gold just went, objection. Wait, what are we talking about again? It's like,
and if that works, then we might finally be able to get some more Macross stuff.
True.
Because, like I said, one of the biggest things this whole started, because you said, like, oh, everyone was getting along for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
It all started when a European company started selling Macross models from a show they didn't own. And Harmony Gold found out about it and went, whoa. And that's where they started this whole thing, because they went, wait a minute, if we just sue everybody, we can make money without doing anything.
Basically,
apparently there was a CG movie series that they made back in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
There might have been, but it's a case of Harmony Gold. Okay, Harmony Gold is Zeus here, right?
Yeah.
And Harebrained Studios and Piranha Games are Adam. So Harmony Gold's getting tuckered out, and now Adam's coming in with that uppercut. So it's like, that's what it's like now. They're not going to countersue and pursue it. Basically, all they want, and all the Battletech fans want, is for Harmony Gold to leave Brittany alone.
Yeah.
That's all they want. Just let us make, and it's not like it's going to hurt anything. They're just like, let us make the games. Japan's not going to care. Japan doesn't care. Japan is one of the few last places aside from the United States that still have the Battletech Tesla pods to play in. Like,
surprisingly enough, everybody, Japan's answer to Harmony Gold's reactions to everything is just, whatevs, we'll just not do anything with the U.S. Like, they literally just decided to stop answering Harmony Gold's calls and just said, we don't care anymore.
Right, and it's a shame because the Macross series, because it's not called Robotech, that series I love it. I love it.
From what I hear, some of the offshoot Macross series from the main one, because it's kind of like Gundam, where there's the main show, and then there's a bunch of, like, off-branches and such, I hear are really good, and unfortunately Harmony Gold only allowed one movie to come in, and the dub was subpar.
The thing about Macross, Robotech, all the whole shebang, is that what Harmony Gold did is they straight up linked the different Macross sagas, if you will.
They did 3 of them.
They linked them all together under one, like,
storyline.
Jellyfish continuous thing. The truth is about the entire, like, Robotech series, if you will, is that, they're linked, but they're separated by time. It's not like, and tomorrow this happened. It's like
for anyone who's ever watched Robotech and never really looked into it, season 1 and season 2, they're not supposed to have happened like bam right after each other. They happened like a couple of years later, and then like season 2 into season 3, it's like a generation gap. But they claim that one of the characters is a character from season 2 when they are not.
Oh, so even worse is season 2, the main character, the lady with the blonde afro style hair.
Yeah, she's supposed to be the blue-haired baby.
She's supposed to be the blue teal haired baby of Max and Zentradi from season 1. And you just go, did you not even watch your own show?
The thing though is I will give them credit. Season 2 and season 1 are easier to mesh because season 1 ends with Macross landing in the lake. and it looks exactly like it does in Season 2. Season 3 was a huge stretch, because that's where the girl is.
Right.
Where she claims, my parents were these people, and I'm like, really? If they're your people, if you're a descendant of those two people, why does the rest of the cast not treat you as such?
Yeah, and it's just like, even the Season 1 and Season 2, you just kind of scratch your head and go, where are the Veritech fighters then? Like, if you're this linked, we can't have just abandoned an entire fleet. Like, it makes you go, excuse me?
I think they made the excuse that, Rick Star something or whatever, he took all of them into deep space to go find the Zentradi homeworld.
Well, but there is a movie that happens after Season 1, and it's Rick Hunter and
his name.
And the lady, Lisa Hayes.
Yes.
Get married. The very next day, they go off in deep space with the SDF-3, with some Zentradi to go and, basically be the counterattack. So yes, they could say that, but, logistics, bro. Yeah, you're not going to leave your airspace vulnerable like that.
It doesn't work. Because when they said that, and then they started bringing up the space cruiser that came back, it was like, we are descendants of the Rick Hunter squad. I'm like, where did you go, and why are you just showing up?
The problem is that movie was limited allowance for certain things. Like, you could see it, kinda, but not really. It's one of those things where it's not on any of the DVDs, or at least it might be now, but it wasn't then, or anything like that. And so that if they just tacked it on as the very, very last episode of Season 1, the tie-in would have been that much easier, but they didn't do that.
And like I said, they had the nerve to claim that Japan thought their version was better, and I'm like...
Which, hey, that's no big deal for the nerve of that. English dubs are rock solid. They can be. They can be.
I'm just sitting there going, you can't splice and dice a show and then claim the original creator likes the fact that you splice and dice the show together.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. But it's just one of those things where...
It's a bold statement, especially if you can't back it up.
It's just one of them things where Harmony Gold might actually be told to pump your brakes, let them do what they want.
Yeah, which could open up other groups to start questioning a lot of the court cases for them, which... It'd be interesting, because I know at least one guy that I know wishes Harmony Gold will just disappear because he wants more Macross, and they're right now the reason it's not happening, and they keep shelling out these, from my understanding, they've tried to continue on Robotech twice, and each time the shows failed after 8 episodes or something. Because they tried to do their own original material, and all of their original shows just failed.
Look, this is basically how it is. Harmony Gold is a leftover remnant of how things were handled in the 80s and 90s, which is poorly.
Yes.
Nowadays, things are handled a lot better from coming not just from Japan, but from just anything coming overseas. Yeah. And being given to the public to watch or do anything with is handled way better now than it was in the 80s and 90s. Hence why Robotech was made then, and you wouldn't see that today.
Yes. They really just gotta really stop petting their ego so much and just be like, look, okay, Japan, we'll stop, but can we be your distributor for all of the Macross stuff? Try to mend this bridge instead of sitting there going, someone should probably fix that.
Yeah, and at the very least, if Harebrained Schemes Studios and Piranha Game Studios are able to just progress on unmolested by Harmony Gold, that's all we really want as BattleTech fans, because BattleTech has the real possibility to come back into some pop culture like it used to be. There were 4 games on the PC.
I used to remember
selling games.
I wasn't really into gaming at the time because the only computer we had was for work and it really couldn't handle gaming, but I knew what MechWarrior was.
Yeah,
Like it used to be like the Call of Duty of PC games back in the day.
MechWarrior 2 especially. MechWarrior 2 had the Father, Son, Holy Spirit Trinity, if you will, of MechWarrior 2. MechWarrior 2 Ghost Bear's Legacy, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. And you got them as the Titanium Trilogy pack once all three were out. And basically the other two were like expansions that you needed the first one with, but they were on their own CDs.
Yeah.
You know, old school style expansions.
Real expansions.
Yeah, and they were, it was the MechWarrior 2, the Titanium Trilogy. People who owned all three games bought that anyway. It had updated graphic stuff for the time, which wasn't much because it was the 90s. But my point is, it was so good. The Titanium Trilogy is like the benchmark that MechWarrior is still held up to. MechWarrior 3, superb game too. But the openness, especially of MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, which is what MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries tried to emulate and did pretty well with. They got some pretty good praise. But like, I remember being in high school, doing the MechWarrior 4 stuff, going into college, MechWarrior 4 going strong, and then Harmony Gold just dug his talons deep into MechWarrior 5, and that really like brought MechWarrior and Battletech crashing down in terms of the video game spectrum.
When did MechWarrior 5 get announced? That was like in the late 2000s, early 2000s?
Yeah, like 2008, 2009.
I think that was when they started realizing their original content wasn't selling, so they just went back to suing people.
Right. And it's just, and that really hurt kind of the mainstreamness, if you will, of MechWarrior and the Battletech thing. I'm not saying this is going to revitalize miniature war game for Battletech, but if Battletech can get into the popular eye again, who knows what could happen for the franchise? Only good things if it's, because MechWarrior 5 is looking like it's going to be a hit. We've only seen like a few minute trailer of it. So it's going to be at MechCon, which is all for MechWarrior, which is in Vancouver. That's where Piranha Games is, and unfortunately too far away. But it's just, I just like the fact that there actually is some positive light in this whole Harmony Gold situation that might then spill over into other franchises. Yes. But, yeah.
Interesting thing going off of Chapter Approve just came out.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of interesting negativity that I've been seeing on the web, primarily with the claiming of the book is pointless. And I like to think, as of right now, it's only... I think one of the major reasons why people are going, well, it's pointless is because of programs like Battlescribe, and also the fact that it only affects the codexes that have came out prior to it coming out. Because once the new codexes, like once Blood Angels and Dark Angels come out, their points value overrides the Chapter Approved because
they're not even in Chapter Approved. So.
Yeah, because they knew their codexes were coming out.
Right, but the thing is, Chapter Approved, that's only one small slice of the Chapter Approved book.
Yep.
So it's a very slight band-aid for the forces that haven't come out, just to make them feel like they're not just going to get trounced by interestingness by codices.
Yeah.
So it's like here's
kind of like a preview of what we'll get out of those codexes.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warlord trait, the two stratagems we see in the Chapter Approve are in the codexes.
Right. And again, it's just a little band-aid, a little something extra to say, well, you're still waiting. I know it sucks. Here you go. Here's some more for you. And here's a whole bunch of other stuff this book is good for. And it's only a book that's like $35 or something.
Yep.
So.
It's got some rules clarifications where they did some weird thing with the shooting, which I'm like, wow, they really don't want characters to get shot at.
Yeah, you don't.
But we were discussing it, and it makes perfect sense now once we thought about it. The biggest thing is there's a change to characters and closest unit. Where there was the argument that if you cannot see since a unit isn't visible, it doesn't matter that it's the closest target because you can't see it, so it's not a viable target at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the new rules clarify that it still affects it. So if you have Gilliman out in the open and then a wall, and behind that wall is a single guardsman, you can't shoot at Gilliman because that guardsman is closer even though you can't see him. And at first, my group was like, that seems like a weird rule, that's really kind of nasty. But then someone brought up an interesting point. It balances out because guns that ignore line of sight would be forced to shoot at the guardsman behind the wall, whereas guns that don't ignore line of sight get a free shot at Gilliman, and that's kind of not fair to armies that are supposed to have an advantage with the fact that they ignore line of sight.
Right, and past that, which is a nice little thing to make it fairer, is also the concept that you have to look at this. Models behind the wall. Got it. But if this was a video game or whatever, it wouldn't be static. That guy would be peeking out around the corner. There would be enough reason to go, hey, there's a dude here, shoot it. You know, if you must target the closest thing, you would see that as a threat. Yes, the model is a static model that's on it, that's, you know, in a kneeling position, let's just say, with a gun raised behind a wall that's 20 feet tall, sure. But he owns that zone. Like, when you have models in cover, that's why you can have models in cover behind a wall facing the wrong direction and still shoot at something, because, you know, if they can get the line of sight to that squad, just because they can't, you know, it's just because they're facing backwards, they can still shoot it because it's not a literal you're facing backwards. There's no facing for, you know, I mean, it's facing vehicles for different reasons, but even still.
Not anymore.
But I mean, like, where you hit them.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
No, there's no sides, rears, or fronts anymore.
No, but I mean, like, you could, for seeing it versus not seeing it. You got a facing. Like, if you can see the side, let's say the front's blocked, but you got a model you can see side and shoot it.
Yeah.
Right. But, like, so you still got, like, that, but only because they're huge, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why. But even still, it's very, organic in the concept. You have to look at it not as a static, snapshot of the game, but as a fluid, look at it as Dawn of War. Look at it like a Dawn of War is going on, and then it makes a little more sense, some of these things, too.
Yeah.
Fairness, and think of it like Dawn of War, and then you're fine. And like that's the biggest thing, is that you're not looking at it. That's why, you know, that's why that flamer can shoot from behind everything, because he's not literally going to just pull the trigger with all his buddies in the way. He's going to step forward. You know what I mean? Like,
unless you're playing Death Watch,
right?
Because that happened, and because one dude was in front of a horde, and he's like, you're in front of me. He's like, oh, just flamer me. And he righteous furied 4 times and dropped the dude down to 2 wounds.
Nice. But you're not gonna, you know, that's why they had that rule is like it is in the war game, because it's not like, hey guys, take cover. He's gonna march forward and shoot.
Yep.
You know, so that's good. But, and also what people have to realize is that chapter approved is much more than that. In fact,
it is officially our update for the year.
Right, and it says 2017 edition, which means next year we're going to get a 2018 edition. So it's not going away. And when you look at everything,
it works well for General Handbook.
Right, it's 3 sections: open play, narrative play, match play. And in match play, it's only a small section of additional faction rules for the factions that don't have a codex yet.
Yep.
But that's amongst this 128-page book, you know, like, you can't, if you're looking at this book purely with faction rules in it, you are not looking at the book properly.
I personally feel a lot of it is the whole, everyone doesn't want to, they're like, oh great, I need 5 books now, and it's like, you do realize one of those books gets cycling out, so let's just say, argument's sake, 3 books, Codex, Rulebook, Chapter Approve, that you don't have to keep bringing every chapter approved that comes out. You have to bring out the chapter approved for the year it is.
Also, and also, you know, it's, you know, just Spacebook players, TAL players, you will get a codex, and you won't have to worry about chapter approved unless you're doing the narrative play Planet Strike stuff or whatever.
Which looks interesting. I like that concept. I did find one thing a little interesting, though, that they made Apocalypse open play only.
Yes, I like that, though, because the reason I like that is it simplifies something that was getting too bogged down.
The only issue I have with it, and this is just a personal issue, like, I haven't actually played a lot of PowerPoint games, so I'm not, so this is just from a brief observation, with limited experience. The only issue I find with it is not all PowerPoint units are created equal. Because I've seen where you could do a PowerPoint game, and even though in PowerPoints your armies are equal, when you actually math it out, one dude's like got a 300-point advantage over the other guy just because of which units he picked.
Yeah, I get that, but I also look at Apocalypse as Apocalypse. At this point, Apocalypse is just the insanity game. It's the game where you go, I got 3 Titans.
If it is, it's just like one of my biggest gripes right now is a Warhound is equal to a Reverend Titan, yet a Reverend Titan can be taken down by a Warhound in a single turn, and a Reverend Titan needs at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, but you can. I look at it as okay, but they might. I'm okay with that because not everything is gonna be able to, and everything is gonna be on the same advantage as something else. Like the Warhound might be able to do that, but the Revenant Titan can do something else to other stuff. It's one of those cases where it's not rock paper scissors, but I'm not gonna look at every unit going, well, its almost counterpart is nowhere near this, so it's not fair. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent, but I also look at it going as,
Well, my biggest issue is this is just going off of my opinion. A fair warning, everyone, this is going to be the most Eldar-y whiny baby I get, as we Eldar players are known for. But when I bring a Reverend Titan, it's not to deal Titan verse I always feel Titans should verse Titans, and because that's what I love. I just love seeing giant Titans battle each other. What I dislike is where it's whoa, I got my Titan, and he cannot fight the other Titan, so I'm just going to ignore him. I'm oh, then why'd I bring the Titan?
I get it, and I get that concept, but I also get the concept that tanks support infantry takes out tanks take out infantry, tanks shouldn't really be taking out tanks, what they can. But it's that concept of, I look at it and go, if I bring a Warhound, okay, I'm not going to be able to take on a Reaver very easily or a Warlord, but at all. But I also look at it going, the Warhound is also a scout mech, so if you equip it the right way, you just lay waste to everything supporting the other Titan, which is just as bad. But I like robots. I like big fighting robot action. We just talked about BattleTech, so it's just but for me, the reason I like that it's open play is because all those people now can't try and go and pull narrative or match play ruling and shenanigans and go, well, I actually know this is Apocalypse open play, which means all bets are off. It's not a real game, but it's a real game. You know what I mean?
And to be fair to anyone, there's nothing stopping you playing a 40,000 point match play game and calling it APOC.
Oh, nothing is, except for the fact that you probably hate yourself.
Yes. If you go through the rules for APOC, there's nothing in there specifically where you go, well, I can't do match play because of this rule.
No, exactly. You can totally play massive point games any way you want, narrative play and match play, but for Apocalypse, as they say, turning it up to 11 gameplay, it's nice that they put those shenanigans in the open play spot specifically, where shenanigans can take place.
It's nice. Granted, now, like I said, my opinion can totally change once I actually use my Eldar Titans in game.
Right.
So this is all a opinion outside an observational opinion,
right? And also
than an experienced opinion.
And also, Apocalypse isn't just massive war machines fighting each other. It's also scores of infantry and tanks.
It is, but I'm never going to do that. If there's an Apocalypse game, I must have at least 3 super heavies.
No, I get that. I'm not saying for you. I'm just saying for the masses at large. Apocalypse isn't just, because not everybody's going to have a Titan because they can't afford it, and I completely understand that. You believe you me, and everybody's going to have all of that. So you might literally bring your entire collection of Necrons. And it's just you're not even fitting proper force organization track because you don't have to worry about that, which is what I like. It's you got 2 Necron warriors that are shaking sticks. Yeah, bring them in. Who cares? Just bring them in. It's just go for it. It's not literally
that's the one thing I do like about APOC, where it's just there is no restriction on your army. Just go.
Right.
So you could literally do a Titan Maniple, and there's no rule saying you can't.
Right, and you could also literally bring every Orc model you own and not have to really worry about it. So
that's the one thing. Orc in Apocalypse, you better have a good full day ready.
Well, yeah, I mean, if there's an orc horde apocalypse army on the table, when they're moving, you can take lunch. And
yes.
Then, so
that's one thing. Like the orc player in my group, he usually starts a good chunk of his orcs in the trucks. I'm like, okay, I don't have to wait for him to deploy yet.
I also do feel bad for like the horde style apocalypse players out there, whether you're Tyranids, whether you're orcs, it doesn't matter what you are.
Even if you're guard too, because they can be pretty hordy.
Even space marine, like it doesn't like if you're going predominantly with like non super heavies and you're going with transports and support, like you're fielding like 4 companies or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, even that, like I feel bad for forces like that because I know in the back of all the super heavy dominant players out there, if they're going before them, they're going to try and whittle them down as fast as possible so it takes less time. Like, I feel like in some cases the horde guys get unnecessarily picked on just so it doesn't take as long when it's their turn. It's like, but that's their thing. He should have just, like instead of taking the warlord to take out, like, the 17 Reaver Titans, they're just going to, like, unleash everything on the horde guy just to, like, wipe him out. Just so we don't have to take 4 hours of movement. Which is a little unfortunate.
We actually, my group is going to be doing a 40k game where it's all of us versus one guy who has 20,000 points in Titans.
Jesus.
One of them's a warlord. Of them, there's 2 reavers, and he's got 2 warhounds per reaver. If
he deploys him properly, you guys are going to get snowballed. I'm sorry. You really are.
Oh, I'm not... like I said, because the way the Eldar Titans work right now, if they go second, you're going to say you're not going to get to use your Eldar Titans. Because the way the Void Shields work, like, Void Shields are, it's a save that happens all the time. And it can stop everything. Regular wounds, mortal wounds. Downside is once you get to their bottom tier, it goes away.
Right.
Eldar, they have an invuln save, so they can't save mortal wounds, and they only get that invuln save if they move a certain distance.
Right, now I get
the benefit that they have over Void Shields is when looking through their minimum move distance for their for their hollow field versus what their bottom tier is, there's never going to be a time they can't get their invuln save. That's like their trade-off.
Right. No, I get that. But even still, like, your Titans aside, the Warlord alone will level 2 people's armies entirely. Like...
Yeah, no. Oh, no, I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
I know.
I'm just saying that if I get to go first, I might have a chance of delaying it from happening.
Like... Because you're caught in a real dilemma, though, because it's like, okay, if we all focus the Warlord, we may piss it off.
Yeah.
But then we left everything else alone. If we try to whittle away the Warhounds and the Reavers, then the Warlord is just going to fire literal pizza pie plates down on us. And it's just like...
I think they know it's like 5d6 or something that their weapons do. Like 5d6 worth of hits, it's like...
Like, you can literally take your dinner plate you're eating because you're there all day and just put it over yourself. Yeah, you got all my army. Don't worry about it. Just roll you down. Don't even roll damage. Let me just take them off the battlefield. It's just
if this was Horus Heresy, yes.
like...
Because they don't do dinner plates anymore.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, might as well do that. You might as well just be like, yeah, you're firing something that, if you think about the lore of it, you're basically firing pizza pies at me. Got it.
You're dropping nukes.
Like, and then, it's just... You wouldn't even be able to get close enough because if you have the Warhounds and Reavers screening the Warlord, you can't even get close enough to maybe have it stomp on you. It's bad. It's bad. It feels bad. So.
That's one thing I kind of think I like how they changed the stomp rules now. Because before there was always an endless debate on what it can target. And the rules were clear, but left just a tiny bit of unclearness that rules lawyers were using to say you can't target the unit you're not in close combat in. And I'm glad that it's now an attack additional to its profile. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we know what it can do with its feet now.
Which is still feels bad. Feels real bad.
It's nasty. But it's no longer this, okay, and I do no, and it's like 3 hours. I remember there was like a debate once for like almost a good 45 minutes over how the attack worked.
Right, but it's just like...
And that should not happen.
No, it shouldn't, but that's going to be a glorious use of dice to destroy everything. It's going to be...
Yes.
No. Hilarious. But,
the only reason the game is happening is because the guy's like, yeah, I've got 5 models. Yay, I can play Apocalypse. Because he hates moving models.
Right. No, I got you. I totally get that, and that's pretty awesome. But even those models, they're going to need something that every army in any war game needs: paint.
Paint.
I think there's this unspoken kind of thing that we as hobbyists need to do. One unspoken thing of upkeep that we don't really tend to do as much, I feel, and that is knowing when it's time to throw out some of your paints.
I never do. Unless I put my brush in the pot, and when the brush comes out there's no paint on it, I keep it.
Right. But there comes a time in every paint pot's life that isn't completely empty, where it's not beneficial to try and rehabilitate it.
I have 1 or 2 paints that are literal bricks, and I keep forgetting to throw them out.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, there comes a time, and even before they become literal bricks, there's comes a point where even if you try and use not just water but flow medium and all like the stuff that acrylic paints use to try and breathe life into your paints, it's over. Game over. Like this, I don't know the exact tipping point. I can't tell you, well, if you spent 6 months with this paint on its side in the desert on the top of a mountain, then, I don't know. But, like, I have some Reaper paints, for example, that I know I need to throw out, but I haven't yet because they're virtually full because I use them a handful of times to do accent colors. But the label on them was white. The label on them is now brown. And like the paint,
what?
Like the actual label on the outside of it has aged to the point where it looks like it came from the Civil War era. And it's just like, yeah, this paint is not going to be any good.
That's impressive, my friend.
Right. Like, it's just, and even the paint, I remember, was a darker or like a lighter shade than the paint is now. Like, that's not good. That paint has changed colors on its own. That's not good.
I actually have a few paints that I need a paint shaker for.
Right. And it's just, because one of the things you're going to do in this hobby, no matter what game you play, Warhammer Hordes, Battletech, the Robotech game that you may or may not have and fail to even know it exists, 40K, Age of Sigmar, The Hobbit, all 5 of you.
All 5 of you.
You need, we're going to a mass paint. Heck, to paint just your basic armor color or skin tone requires at least 3 paints and a wash.
Yep.
To really get it out once you get confident in your painting, to really get it to come out and pop. The wash can just be a thinned down dark paint. It doesn't have to be its own separate thing. You can just thin down your black and do that. My point is, painting that green armor or painting that green skin or painting that, that elf skin tone or that chainmail even it's hardly ever going to be just one paint.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to amass a lot of paint, right? Now with Space Marines, for example, and Orcs are even a much better example of this, you're going to have tubing, power cabling, MacGuffins, whatever it is on the Orcs have, that are going to be like, okay, this should be a yellow power cable, this should be a blue energy conduit for the plasma, this is a steel cable, this is black, this is not any of the colors of my armor, oh my god, I need all these paints. And it's just like, you've been there.
Oh, yeah.
And like, so we're going to amass a lot of paint. The thing is, when you amass a lot of paint, you also have to upkeep your paint. You have to understand that you have to look through and go through and decide, okay, am I really going to try and keep this? And then you got to test it. And I don't recommend testing on the model you're working on either.
I actually have a land speeder that I tested on.
Right, you're going to want to test it on something, old sprue, an old model, whatever it is. Because metallics especially, they get to a point that even when you try to breathe life into them, you can't, because the metallic portion is just no longer metallic. It's like a weird gray almost, because of how it's dried up or how it's doing whatever. The only paints you really can, I feel, 100% breathe life into virtually every time are alcohol-based paints. Because the alcohol...
They just need a drink.
Yeah, they just need a little drink and they're fine. It's like Vallejo's liquid metal range, which is alcohol, you can breathe life into to hold on to for a while, as long as you don't get moisture in there and as long as you don't see actual rust in the pigment. If you see actual rust forming, the paint's garbage.
What I always do with my test for my airbrush paints, because I have a couple of GW and Forge World airbrush paints, is I shake the bottle, and if the color changes, I know they're good.
Yeah. And what's more...
Because I have like a gold here where it's a bright, like they're super bright gold, but it's supposed to be a dark gold.
Yeah.
So what I do is I take the bottom, like, okay, and I shake it like 3 times, and if it starts turning dark gold, I'm like, okay, it's good.
Nice. And even a few years ago, 5 years ago even, not that long ago, we didn't have as many options for paints as we do now, specifically formulated scale modeling paint. And those options, even if they existed for longer than we've known about them here in the States or wherever you live, are now becoming easier to get across the pond or what have you. So you have Tamiya's that people use a lot of, but they're not specifically for miniature wargaming, but they're for models. You have that. You have of course Citadel, Cote d'Arms. You have Vallejo. You have Reaper. You have P3,
which is basically Cote d'Arms.
Yeah, you have Army Painter. That really has come a long way with just being a dip and some brushes to paint now.
Yeah, I never realized that they have a dip line.
Yeah, that's kind of how they got their start, is their dip line.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's also War Colors, which is War Colors. I think is one of the paint companies that is one of the newer ones that has really grown like the most, in my opinion. They went from having like hardly anything metallic to have a crazy metallic range. I really like War Colors paints. I have a bunch. Their transparent line is really good. They offer a whole like technical paints too. Like they offer, for example, like just a straight up primer. They offer powder pigments. So they offer a lot to really do like technical painting to just whatever, gem paints, the whole 9 yards, metallic, transparent, opaque. There's also Scale 75 paints. These paints look really, I haven't tried them, but I've heard good things. They look really cool. And they have an ink range, metal range, and just scale colors and stuff like that to do a whole bunch. And they offer like, it's funny because you can have like all these companies and their greens won't all be exactly the same, and their reds. Like if you're not, you might find without mixing from a different company that shade you are looking for. But I got a question for you. Out of all the paints that you've had experience with, and of all the ranges out there that you've seen or used yourself or seen people use, what color do you really feel you have yet to go that, like what color do you feel is underrepresented? Do you feel like what color, be it metallic or non-metallic color, that you go, this color really feels like it's left in the dust? Is there any color you feel like, man, I wish they would do more with this particular range of whatever color it is, let's say green or blue or whatever, like, because, man, it's missing out?
I would say, if anything, metallic colors that are not gold or silver. Like, I would love more metallic blues, metallic reds, metallic oranges, like, colors in a metallic tone that doesn't require me to mix anything.
I can see that. I feel like for that, companies try, but I feel like for what we do outside of Alcad paints, which are like really caustic and toxic to use, because they're like they're not what armor painting is, but they're kind of like on a miniature scale, a quasi equivalent. But like, I just feel our scaling and stuff makes that hard. I don't know why. It's just my brain. That's my excuse. So you like metallic colors, like you want to have like
just like metallic colors outside of silver and gold. You know, like actual like car metallic colors.
Yeah, that would be cool. Along that, I would also like to see pearlescent paint.
I don't know what that is.
It's not metallic-y. It's like you know what? Like it looks like a pearl, like a pearl white. It's like a literal pearl, like and has that. You've seen like pearl, like the actual pearl, clam or oyster, poop. Basically, that's what it's not. Let's be honest. It's not that it's actually oyster poop, but it might as well be. It's like
it's spit.
Yeah, that reminds me of a game, Lunar Civil Star Story Complete for the PlayStation 1. You have to find this gem from a dragon, and the dragon goes, "You know that's my poop, right?" Like if he doesn't say it, he comes and say, "You know that's my You know what? You take it." It's like basically it's like you're fighting all these things in a dungeon just to get its poop, and I'm like, that's hysterical. That's awesome. That's something. I would never have thought of that as like a thing to do with like a gem.
Another thing going off of that is I feel like I kind of wish more of these model paint companies would give us more iridescent paints.
Okay.
Or at least iridescent mediums so we don't have to go to outside of the hobby line to find iridescent colors.
Want to have an example? I mean, not of a color, but of like a way in which you would use that, or what you would do with it, and
like
you know what
oil
I mean?
slicks.
Right. Okay.
Oil slicks. One trick I wanted to do, that I wanted to do for my I found on this on one of my Shadow Specters, this really nasty looking mold line, and I was like, ugh, I really don't have the really great skill to fix this. And I thought it would have been cool to like add like an iridescent color to make it look like it's just a rippled distort in his holofield suit. And I couldn't find any way of doing that, except for these like hobby like craft paints that were like a medium that you mixed with colors, but I couldn't even find that.
Gotcha.
And I looked at a bunch of tutorials where it's like, oh, you add this, then that, then this, and that, and this, and that, and if you're lucky and you know what you're doing, you can get an iridescent look. And I'm like, oh. And another one was, just use some nail polish, but you need like a special kind of thinner to really thin nail polish down, and you need a breathing mask for it, and
exactly.
Like, too much is required for a simple effect that I'm like, no model hobby company has come up with this. Like I said, craft companies like Apple Barrel, not really Apple Barrel, but like a little bit higher end than Apple Barrel, have made these kind of things for like trains to do like oil spills and such. Why can't any of these wargaming hobbies come up with their own type of medium?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, and what I find with that is, I am not a paint chemist.
Yes.
So I don't know the limitations of an acrylic medium versus an oil or enamel medium. You know what I mean? And I say that because, for example, AK Interactive, which does stuff for scale modeling, so it's not miniature wargaming, but is on our scale.
Yeah.
They offer stuff for. I have two of their things. I have Kursk Earth, which really, I mean, it's for that like mud that isn't just brown, like that light colored, like just cracked up earth, almost muddy, but it doesn't have to look like it's literally just a mud pit of brown.
Okay.
As best I can describe it, it's like it gives a nice effect, like a summer ochre earth color instead of it being just a straight up brown. It's more of an ochre, and it works really well. It's an enamel though, so you have to like apply it after you're all done, and then you have to rinse the brush off. Especially, Warrior doesn't necessarily work 100%. You have to do some more to it and whatnot. But they also offer straight up engine oil, motor oil, like used engine oil color. Where I have it, and I looked at it, and as somebody who works on cars, I went, I think they bottled engine oil. Like it looks like it. It looks like it, and it does really good for like oil slick.
And you do work on cars, so you would know what it looks like.
I'm like, that is straight up engine oil. Wow, they did a really good job here. But so like that.
You'd have to link me to that because I might pick that up if I ever get like the Crash Thunderhawk or something.
Yeah, no, I'll put a link in here for the Curse Girth, and then you just navigate the entire site for like because they have like a bunch of stuff, including what they offer is what they call true metals. True metals is less of paint and more of a paint wax that you apply to the model. Once it's dry, you actually literally polish it to the shine you want.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's cool because I'm thinking Custodian Guard should get that super I'm so shiny look at me look. But I'm also wondering how bad is a gunk up detail? I don't know how to use it. They also have Extreme Metal, and I don't know what I think Extreme Metal is like their version of Alcad because it has a special primer thing. I don't know what they do with it. But anyway, my point is, I don't know the limitations of certain mediums for getting certain effects, like a pearlescent or a certain metallic color or a iridescent. Like I'm not saying they can't do with acrylic. I'm just saying my wish list may not be realistic because maybe acrylic really can't do that.
Fun little thing here. They have actually two types of engine oil. Fresh engine oil and aircraft engine oil.
Well, that fresh oil is just so good.
It's a different mixture to make the oil effects in any type of airplane parts. The oil in planes is different than in vehicles as the color is lighter. This product is enamel and it can be blended with the rest of our colors and it is diluted with our white spirits. So if I ever got the Crash Thunderhawk tile, I would need to buy aircraft engine oil
to get
because that's what would be coming out of it
to get that truly authentic look.
Because I say that because I saw this. One of my buddies was bought the Thunderhawk that I have was from the guy who started with the Crash Thunderhawk, and he saw this picture of the Crash Thunderhawk painted up with like an oil spill coming out of it. And he's like, oh, that'd be so freaking cool. And I'm like, that is kind of cool.
But like they also offer like paints to do streaking grime effects. And they also offer like exhaust wash, things to help to get that truly authentic exhaust look. I'm like, wow, you guys really covered everything.
Exhaust wash.
Yeah. To get
Gotta have to get that for my planes now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the thing is it's perfect for modern aircraft exhausts. Ooh, it's an enamel type for modeling, which means they recommend their own white spirit or odorless turpentine. So this is completely, you're not gonna want water. You want and but I mean that's how you dissolve it to do stuff and whatever. But I'm not saying it's the big boy leagues. It's not like acrylics or baby leagues, but it's a whole different beast when you start looking outside of what you're used to, which is acrylics, right?
Yeah.
And this is my point is I don't know the limitations, so I'm with you with iridescence and pearlescence and metallic colors. What I really want, and I have yet to find, and I actually have a bottle of Wicked Colors Createx paint which is Wicked Orange. And that's the name, Wicked. But for me, there's never been a good orange color to end up with as your main color. There's orange out there that are good for effects, doing some fire here, doing a buildup of magma there. But to be like, for lack of a better term, almost orange peel orange, or like Lamborghini orange, like a truly bright, vivid. It's orange, it's not yellow, it's not red, it's orange. I can't find it. GW's oranges are like pale.
They're a little pale.
All the oranges are too dark. Like I found some that look promising, but I'm not gonna spend like the €4 and then the shipping to get it over here. You know what I mean? Like,
have you ever tried Vallejo, who's non-model line, like Vallejo's model line? Because they have some pretty nice oranges.
I've looked at it, but like I just. Given that it's looked similar to some other orange I've seen that has kind of fallen short, especially orange that isn't trying to compete with yellow for being the most transparent paint out there.
Yes, orange tends to be a fairly tricky color to work with. Not as bad as yellow or white, but it's up there.
White's the worst thing with white for me is that it's getting a smooth white.
Yes, you have to really water it down.
You have to water it down
and be very willing to wait a lot of layers.
Yeah, and because you can get white coverage pretty quick, but it gets chunky and like powdery. It just doesn't feel like smooth color. Yeah. Like that's my biggest problem with white. Yellow, my issue with yellow is keeping its intensity bright. And not getting it to devolve into a yellowy orange or a yellowy brown. When you try and like do stuff with it. Like Lamenter's yellow and Imperial Fist yellow, those are the toughest yellows. Now if you're doing like me with that one Lamenter's model I did moons ago, I want to do another one, and you're going the easier route by doing watered, weathered, dirty, gritty yellow, aka I'm not good enough to do real yellow. So I'm doing it this way, me personally, not saying anybody else, but me personally, it gets a little easier. But like, all of the oranges that I've come across that have had promise are so thin to the point that the buildup isn't worth it. And like, or like putting it over something, I feel like they're meant to be used in conjunction. I don't know, it's just a nice solid orange that covers and gives me that orange peel orange, that Lamborghini orange. You know what I'm talking about. That look, like that orange. But like that's the one. I feel like that color has been kind of like could definitely stand going back to the drawing board and getting some stuff worked out for it. And then to be honest, I feel like white. I think white needs to be looked at again. I mean, yes, we have white. Pure white scar, pure white whatever. But like, I guess it's more so of the, like near whites, because the stuff that I see, a near white is either already beige, and therefore too like brown, or it's too gray. You know what I mean? Like there's like off white that still is like an eggshell white almost. It's not pure white. Like an off-white that isn't, for example, bleach bone or whatever it's called now. I don't even know if they call it Ushabti bone.
Ushabti bone.
They still call it Ushabti bone, but they got rid of the Ushabti? Wow. But anyway, okay. Or Terminatus stone, stuff like that. Like, that's, like, one way you lighten that up with white, and that's like your off-white you're gonna get. But it's still like kind of beigey browny. And then you look at stuff like Uthway gray. It's still pretty, not like it's pretty, it's very light, but you can feel the grayness in there, you know what I mean? I guess it's hard to put, like, off-white's one of those tricky colors because the moment you would have to add like 1 micron drop of like beige to like 5 gallons of white to get the off-white to actually happen. I guess, I don't know. But yeah, I think those metallic colors, like, you're onto something. And if anybody is out there listening, you fearless gamers, who is some type of paint chemist, if you know, like, legitimately know the limitations of acrylic or limitations of enamel in terms of what colors they can do or effects even, by all means share it, because I'm honestly really interested to know, because that would help my wish list out, and maybe your wish list out too, and other people's wish list out, because if we're sitting there going, man, why can't acrylics do, this mirage-y style of, it goes from green to purple, how you look at a paint, and you go, because acrylics don't have the medium binding structure to do that, it's just impossible for an acrylic paint to do that. I can go, oh, got it. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why, for example, AK Interactive uses mostly enamels. Is that because, they have acrylics, but I don't know if they do some of that stuff in enamels because the acrylics can't do it. At least that's what I've been thinking in my search, my quest for certain colors. Is like, I don't know what can do it. Also, fearless gamers, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, these, like, enamel paints, I'm not saying enamel paints are the devil and you gotta you run away from them, but know what you're getting and how you are to properly thin it down. If for no other reason, to not ruin your paint. Because you could easily ruin the paint by going, oh, this paint's pretty thick. I'll thin the entire bottle with the wrong stuff and ruin the paint. So it's like, so you want to know for sure. And if you're not certain, because sometimes it's hard to find out what is what, you contact the company. Say, hey, this product, what is it?
I've actually done that because I have issues with Tamiya clear colors, and I've actually contacted them and went, hey, what's the best way to use this? And they came out and gave me all of the steps that I should follow to make my clear paints work.
Nice. See that's good. That's a good job on them.
Yep.
But like, for example, this extreme metal real quick, like, this would be a case if I were to try and get extreme metal. From what I've read, and maybe I missed it, is I don't know what it's made. I don't know what its base is. Like, it says it's resistant to weathering with ultra high coverage power, but like
power.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, unlike the other stuff that says enamel base, whatever. It doesn't say anything. So it says it doesn't damage the plastic, which is nice.
Yes.
But like, what is it? How best to use it? I mean, they list it specifically with their own primer and their own stuff, but let's be honest. How many of us will go out and buy specifically Vallejo's, thinner for their paint? No, I'm just going to put a drop of water.
And let's be totally honest. When as a company just went, yeah, just use some other dude's product because it's cheaper?
Exactly. But I mean, this would be a case that I would at least contact them and go, hey, your extreme metals. What is it? Acrylic? Is it like alcohol? Like, what is its base? Just so I know. Yeah. Because at the very least, so you don't not damage your brushes, but some people want to use acrylic brushes only on acrylics.
Yep.
And so,
like, I've yet to find really a company that will keep that kind of stuff a secret.
Right. I mean, and if they do, unless it's like OMG amazing, you're not going to want to buy from that company. And they know this.
And with that, we are out of time.
Yes.
So, thank you all for listening. If you want to give your own 2 cents about the whole MechWarrior thing, if you have, like I said, if you have any insight into painting with the mixtures and the why can't things happen,
exactly, because I think that would be a fantastic knowledge drop. Also, are you guilty of not really of keeping your paints? I'm guilty as charged.
Oh yes, I still have paints from 4th ed.
I have so many paints that when I go, I'll take a couple out the paint, it overtakes my painting board. Like, I really gotta start throwing out some paints, to be honest. And the sheer fact that they're old to the point where it's like not worth revitalizing.
Yep. And the biggest question of all: will this podcast actually get posted on the channel?
Tune in next time to find out. Wait a minute.
So, until next time, fearless gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
And the Wildcard.
Saying take care.
Peace.